In terms of box office, it hasn't been good news for DC fans since the Batman and Todd Phillips Joker. And as we see the long range box office forecasts globally for Blue Beetle, it's depressing reading. We are looking at a 12 to 17 million opening weekend domestic box office and around 27 to 55 million global take for a box office for Blue Beetle. This is depressing reading. I repeat, the high of the long range forecast for the Blue Beetle opening global weekend is at best 55 million. This is terrible. This is a disaster. And you are asking the same question as I am. Why? But the truth is, the difference between you and me is I'm not asking why. This is pretty predictable if you ask me. The second trailer was absolutely brilliant. I'm still hyped to see this movie, but there isn't an audience for this movie. But why? The truth is there hasn't been an audience for the DC Extended Universe since Zack Snyder was fired. I repeat, a 12 to 17 million opening domestic weekend, a 27 to 55 million global opening weekend. These are terrible numbers. And it goes back to what was done a very long time. The damage was done with Justice League. The damage was done when they removed Zack Snyder. And nobody knew who was running this franchise or what this franchise was attempting to say and attempting to do. It's been an utter mess for a long time. The Flash was a disaster. The Blue Beetle movie will be a bigger disaster. Of course, having the first trailer say that Batman is a fascist didn't help. Having the director laughing on Twitter saying, "I've done my job," isn't great marketing. I do not believe this is the reason why these numbers are so low. Because when you've got a franchise, you need to earn the right to introduce your smaller characters. And the DCEU simply hasn't done this. Because what they're doing here is plugging this as the first DCU character, but it's still a DC Extended Universe movie. What James Gunn is doing is quite right. Superman, Batman, Supergirl. You know, have a tentpole of your big characters first, then you can introduce your smaller characters, but ain't no one gonna be coming in at the heights to be watching Blue Beetle. Nobody's ever heard of Blue Beetle. You know, the audience don't really have much confidence in DC. They're not motivated to come and watch DC, and they don't really understand what's going on. They don't even understand if DC Universe will be a full reboot or a soft reboot. James Gunn keeps on changing what he's saying as well. You know, I mean, we're getting a Peacemaker Series 2. He reckons that DCU is nothing to do with, you know, with the DCEU, that it doesn't make sense. You know, he's saying that Suicide Squad, you know, his Suicide Squad won't be canon in the new DC Universe. So how comes his sequel, Peacemaker, which is getting a second series, is going to be part of DCU? It makes no sense. Waller, is this a new Amanda Waller or the, you know, the one that we've seen since 2016 Suicide Squad and 2021's James Gunn's The Suicide Squad? Nobody truly knows the answers to these questions. And as we were talking yesterday, in Gunn interfering with Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, you know, these things just stir up frustrations, and people just don't understand what the DCU is. As I say, a full fresh reboot or a soft reboot. And this is where the problem lies, everyone. Everyone's confused and nobody is motivated to come in. When you're telling people this is the first DCU character, this is the first character of our new universe, and people are not going to be coming in their droves to watch this movie, you've already got a problem for the new universe. Will people come in their droves to watch Superman Legacy, you know, Brave and the Bold. I certainly hope so, but this isn't good. You know, these long-range projections for Blue Beetle, you know, forget isn't good. It's a fucking disaster. People are just not interested. You know, this is Xolo Maradona. This is a guy from Cobra Kai, a very popular show, you know, a spin-off from one of the most beloved film series, Karate Kid, of all time. And this generation isn't motivated to come in because I keep on trying to explain to you, kids and teenagers are not going to cinemas anymore. They're scrolling on TikTok. They're on YouTube. They have no interest in cinema because cinema no longer is offering them a bold brand. And this is one of the many reasons that Hollywood is on its knees. We have a SAG-AFTRA Actors Union strike. We have a Writers Guild of America strike. And if we can move on from the disaster that are these long-range projections for the Blue Beetle box office, we're now hearing reports from, you know, reputable sources that Warner Brothers Discovery are looking to delay most of the rest of their releases this year. Again, you ask why? Because they know that these strikes, this industrial action from two unions in Hollywood could go on for over a year. Could be, you know, these strikes could go on for the next 2 years. Nobody knows. So now Warner Brothers Discovery are looking to stretch these movies out. There's rumors that Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom will be delayed till next year. The Dune sequel, directed by Denis Villeneuve, directed wonderfully well, delayed till next year, which would mean, obviously, if you look at this thing logically, Joker Folie 2, which is meant to be released next October, could also be delayed till 2025. And if SAG-AFTRA, the Actors Union, stay on strike, there'll be no shooting schedule for Superman Legacy or any of the other things that James Gunn has planned. So they're going to have to delay their movies to try and drag some kind of, you know, action going on in cinema. So they've got something to release in movie theaters. So that's the rumor right now from reputable sources that they're looking, sources. So they're actually looking to delay Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, the Dune sequel. And as I say, I believe if they're going to delay these movies that are supposed to be coming out this year, then it makes sense that Joker Folie 2 would be delayed as well. And what would this mean for, you know, the Batman 2, written and directed by Matt Reeves as well? It's an absolute disaster. I understand why they want to delay these movies, because they're not going to have any content, but it's an absolute mess, everyone. And if Warner Brothers Discovery are looking at this, you can bet your bottom dollar that the other studios are also looking at this as well. So do expect a lot of this year's movies to be delayed. It's a mess. It's a disaster. Hollywood is on its knees. This is something that they've utterly brought on themselves. And, you know, logical people, logical geeks, nerds, you know, movie and entertainment consumers are looking at this, and there's no defending these people. They have brought their industry to its knees. And in a moment, we're going to talk about some of the problems that have led them to this. One of the biggest problems is the mentality that went into making Barbie. We're going to talk about that in a moment. It's been a terrible year in terms of financials and box office for Warner Brothers Discovery. We've had Shazam! Fury of the Gods bomb. The Flash movie, you know, beyond bombing, and it looks like Blue Beetle will bomb even worse. And if there's no Dune 2 this year, no Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, which probably would have also bombed as well, you know, they're looking at Barbie to bring them some dough. And it is looking like this disaster of a movie, this woke disaster, this clusterfuck of hatred for straight white males is going to have a great opening. This movie hates the patriarchy, straight white males like you and me, but it used Oppenheimer, starring a white man, written and directed by one of the best directors, of all time, Christopher Nolan. And it looks like, because Barbie had an excellent marketing campaign attaching itself to Oppenheimer, it looks like this is going to lead to maybe 140 to 150 million opening domestic weekend. That's brilliant. But once the fandom menace deep dive into this film and they start posting their videos, this film is going to have a disastrous second week. They've been hiding this film. They only allowed influencers to early react to it. It's, as I say, it's going to make good money in the opening. When it comes to the second weekend, it's going to drop off. This is why they've been hiding this movie. But Warner Brothers haven't been great with marketing, but with Barbie, they found a way to sell this movie to the public. And it's Barbieheimer attaching this shit show of an extremist, hateful movie to a movie written and directed by a white man. The irony isn't lost on me. So expect this movie to open up really big. I've said from the beginning, I refuse to watch this movie. I don't go and watch things that are going to hurt me, that are going to disgust me. Life is just far too short, everyone. And, if people want to go and hate watch it and do videos and make money on it, good luck to them. I am not interested. And Barbie and the mentality that went into Barbie is the very reason that this industry is on its knees right now. That this is the worst era in Hollywood entertainment history. And as I said earlier, they're bringing this all on themselves. Now, I may not have seen this movie, but I have people feeding me what happens in this movie every step of the way. And it's disgusting. But this was the motivation of making this movie for Margot Robbie. She was very clever in bringing Greta Gerwig in to make the movie as well. A woman who has a great deal of respect. So they've been hiding this movie. The marketing has been brilliant, the way they've been promoting it as a fun, light movie. But it's not a fun, light movie. It's more extremist, extreme left propaganda. It's full of hate, and it's, as I say, it's disgusting, and this is what Hollywood has become. Now, I understand that Hollywood is full of bad men who they deem as the patriarchy, right? I understand that these men may sexually harass them, but that ain't me, and that ain't you, and that ain't the young boys who may have to be forced to go and see this movie by their parents, and it's not very nice. And this is what's happened. We're in the midst of this cultural war, and this is one of the reasons that Hollywood is on the verge of receivership. So don't expect me to get involved in that. Don't expect me to waste what little time I've got left on this mortal coil and watch a piece of shit. This film was led totally by Margot Robbie. She produced the movie, she brought all the elements together, as she did with Birds of Prey. Her woke extremism didn't work with that movie, but she found a better way to put this movie together, to make it look like a light movie, not to give the clue away that this was a feminist, extremist propaganda movie. I knew it from the beginning. I warned you about it. Go and see it if you want. Do what you want. You're going to see what a disaster it is. But at the end of the day, it will open big. They will be bragging about this movie. But the only reason that this movie will open big is because it attached itself to Oppenheimer. Not because it's a great movie, not because it's well made. It's a piece of shit. And it represents and sums up what entertainment has become today and who runs entertainment today. And this is why, the industry is in such a mess, because the great people who love making movies, love making great art, that were making money and giving us, the audience, great joy, have all been driven out of the industry. And now you've got people like Margot Robbie who don't care about making good films. They care about the message. not the message of, you know, people struggling to feed themselves, children on the streets, children being abused, like Sound of Freedom, for example. That her movement, the extreme left, you know, they've been attacking the Sound of Freedom. At least the Sound of Freedom is trying to show what goes on and the damage that's being done to children. But Hollywood, of course, is part of that narrative and arm that do damage young children, so they're not going to want that advertised anyway. So it is very interesting what's going on right now, but at the end of the day, this is where we are. Don't expect these strikes to be over anytime soon. It is depressing, but luckily for us, we've got the movies and entertainment from our generations that we've collected in box set form, DVD, VHS, Blu-ray, 4K, and we can always enjoy it. It's a very weird time to be involved in the entertainment industry right now. You go on movie Twitter and it's just so repetitive. There's no news. There's nothing going on. And it just gets worse and worse every day. The decisions of having to delay these movies from Warner Brothers Discovery. The sad news that Blue Beetle is going to bomb, you know, and Shazam! Fury of the Gods bombing and The Flash bombing spectacularly. There's not really much good news out there right now. So, you know, we will see what happens. Now, someone did mention to me yesterday that, well, not HBO Max, it's not HBO Max anymore, but Max has removed or is removing Zack Snyder's Justice League. Well, what do you expect from a pig but a grunt? Of course they're going to remove that movie. Can someone tell me, is Justice League still on Max? Or maybe they'll remove Zack Snyder's Justice League and put Justice League on Max. This is how disgusting and how despicable these people are. This is where we are in this industry. Nobody can say that Zack Snyder's Justice League isn't art personified. Art, everyone. Beautiful art. No one's going to get close to making a CBM of this unique style. Again, love Snyder, hate him. The movie's a 4-hour fucking epic. And they're removing it. Why are they removing it? It can't be for views. This is a toxic trait. This could be James Gunn. Who knows? But this is despicable. Warner Brothers itself is in an almighty mess financially and fiscally, and every decision they seem to make is a disaster. In terms of Barbie, they'll just be happy that they found a marketing plan in jumping on Oppenheimer to be able to get a solid opening weekend. Now, Mattel reckon they'll be looking to be making a lot more movies in the Barbie universe. I wouldn't hold my breath. I think that WB certainly, if they were smart, would divorce themselves from Mattel, because the messaging in the Barbie movie is absolutely ridiculous. It's poisonous. And if I was Greta Garwig, I would never have been involved. Even if my hate for men and straight white males was so deep, I would never have got involved. Because at the end of the day, it's your reputation. And now she's going to do a Chronicles of Narnia trilogy for Netflix. And, you know, people are going to be looking at her via Barbie and saying, do we really want to watch this movie? Can we trust her? No, you can't trust these people. It's dead, everyone. I can't see how we get back to be making great art and great entertainment with these nut jobs. The good news is, by the time these strikes are finished, maybe in a year or maybe 2 years' time, maybe the industry can reset itself and bring people into the industry who care about the art form.